All right, so I was contemplating to myself, what is the best place to start? And I think starting with why does NOM do things the way we do? Why do we talk about self-therapy? Why we talk about connecting to self, connecting to others, committing to daily practice? Why do we do all of these things? And I wanted to share some analogies as to why this approach is so helpful. So I think the first thing I'll share with you is the analogy of, so let's say you're here, you're in Calgary, and this is basic. Oh, I'm gonna have to draw a little bit bigger than that. So this is pretty basic, but so you're in Calgary, and you want to go to Vancouver, which is right over there. So that's pretty simple, right? You just go on, you know, if you have some stuff, if you know where you're going, it's pretty simple. There's three things you need to get to Vancouver from Calgary. Three things, just three things. You need a willingness. You have to want to do it. You have to decide, I want to be in Vancouver. I am not wanting to be in Calgary. No one can just do that for you. If they did, that's called kidnapping. So you have to want to. The second thing you need is you need a map. You need a map. Because there's lots of other places, you know, there's Saskatchewan, there's, you know, Yellowknife, but that's not where you want to go. You don't want to go to these places. You want to go to Vancouver. But without a map, you may well end up over in Yellowknife, and that's a little different than Vancouver. It's very beautiful out there, by the way. But it's not where you want to go. So you need a map. And the last thing that you need is you need supplies and tools. Supplies and tools. Two of the three, if you're missing just one of these, do you get to Vancouver? No. You need all three. And so here's the issue. This is pretty basic. This is kind of obvious. Everyone knows. And then, you know, just there's many ways to Vancouver. There's the long way through Montana, right? You can kind of go there. You can go up through, what's that place called? Whitehorse? Right? You can go through Alaska. We have some truck drivers here, so they probably know all these things. Heck, there's nothing wrong with going to Saskatoon and then going to Vancouver. That's okay. There's lots of ways to get to Vancouver. Some are longer, some are shorter. And it's okay. You get there when you get there. Heck, you can go over the mountains to Vancouver, you know. You got all these mountains. That's what they used to do back in the day. When they wanted to go to Vancouver, the first settlers, they went over the mountains. They followed the rivers and all that. The longer your journey, the harder it is, the more the risk of death, the more the risk of not making it. So, the straighter the journey, the better the chances of success. So, let's bring this to mental health and addiction. So the thing with, so I'd say at NOM, one thing that we specialize in is this thing called treatment-resistant recovery. So recovery, when people are not getting better, despite a good amount of work and effort, there's usually some kind of block. And usually, it's one of these things. They're working really, really hard. That's usually the one that gets blamed the most. You just don't want it bad enough. You're just not trying hard enough. That's common. Lots of people think that. Lots of therapists think that. Especially when the approaches aren't working. But it's really important to understand that you can be working really, really hard, running towards Saskatchewan, and no one can tell you you're not trying. You've tried really hard. It's not a problem of trying. It's a map problem. If you, for example, you go and you do a mental health workshop, but you don't have a daily practice to integrate that knowledge, you'll learn lots, you work really hard, you may even spend lots of money, but you won't get too much further towards your goal because you don't have a foundation to integrate. So at NOM, we teach a lot about the why of things. We talk about complex trauma. We talk about concussions, head injuries. We talk about and do things to kind of heal those things, because ultimately those things will get you to where you want to go. You might have the best map in the world. You might know, I had this yesterday, someone mentioning to me that they know they need to do trauma work. They know they got problems, but it's just so scary doing any of that. So, their map is good, they know. They know that they're being held back by the chains of the past. And the chains of the past are like a Roman handshake. You know what a Roman handshake is? It's not just a simple handshake. It's a two-sided handshake, like this. And what's different about this handshake is that if one person wants to let go, it doesn't end. You have to want to let go, and then the other person wants to let go. And that's what you have with the past. You have a Roman handshake with your past. Some people don't want to let it go. Some people want to stay in it and stay, that's a willingness question. A lot of people want to let it go, but they think that by wanting to let it go, it goes. But it doesn't. Because it's holding on to you just as much as you're holding on to it. And so there's a process. You need tools and supplies. You need food. You need company, Is it easier to get to Vancouver when you have someone with you? It probably is, right? Oftentimes. Assuming you don't have a car, let's say. It's easier if you have some food. It's easier if you have some basic shelter. Maybe some first aid supplies if you hurt yourself. It's a long road to get to Vancouver. So, having a map, having willingness without tools is not enough. Now, here's a question for you. I was reading a coaching book the other day. Do you think that if you want to climb Mount Everest, can you just be like, yeah, let's head to Nepal, let's do this thing? Is that going to work?
No.
Even if you have all the tools, the fanciest gear and all these things, you think that's still going to work?
No.
You need training. It's not enough. Those tools, an ice pick in the hands of like a novice, you're probably going to hurt yourself with that ice pick, right? You're probably going to put it in there, but not deep enough, and then when you need it, it'll like slip and you're going to fall and die. It's treacherous going up Mount Everest. You need to practice the tools. You need to get good with the tools to get a very, very and how do we do that? Just like any training. Anyone who wants to climb Mount Everest, they train every day. They may have a job, they may have kids, but if their goal is to climb a big mountain, then they're training in the evening, on the weekends. As often as possible, they're getting their oxygen levels strong, they're increasing their lung capacity. Because these are the things we have to do to be able to actually go the route, the journey. And if you don't train, your tools won't help you. And then you'll make the mistake. What's the use of these things anyways? Journaling didn't help anybody. Never helped me. You start giving up on things. Oh, I tried to do breathing. It didn't work for me. Oh, I tried to meditate. I tried to do pot. I tried to pray. I tried to do that thing. That didn't work for me. Dr. Gill, give me something else. I say, no, there is nothing else. If you want to go up Mount Everest, you need an ice pick, and you need to learn how to use it. You don't like ice picks? Tough luck. Let's learn. Let's figure out why you don't like ice picks. Maybe you had a traumatic experience when you were a kid with ice picks, and that makes you scared of using an ice pick. Let's deal with that so that you can use the tool and make the journey. So I'm going to just, so this is kind of the map analogy. There's far too many people trying to get to their journey, but they're going in the wrong direction. For example, they think that their anxiety and depression has nothing to do with the horrible things they went through as children. It's just not true. Neurobiology, we know otherwise. It's just not true. Your past, unless you deal with it, will absolutely chain you. There's no question. It's not convenient, but that's the reality. And so, the second thing that I wanted to convey today, and actually that's a good place to just pause.